Well, let me ask you this, because I saw you got a little bit flustered when 50 Cent surprised you. Does 50
Oh, I
Cent
can't
make
even
you
look
nervous?
at 50 Cent. I can't even.
You can't look at 50 Cent.
Rachael Ray, the woman who once made millions of Americans think that happiness could be cooked in 30 minutes, built an entire business out of her sincere smile and unpretentious charm. She wasn't just a TV chef. Her voice was full of energy and her eyes were filled with conviction. She was the embodiment of joy, warmth, and a kind of success that felt real and possible. Yet behind the studio lights, behind the laughter and the sizzling pans lies another story. One far more complicated, profound, and at times painfully human. That story begins with a man she once believed was her destiny, John Cusimano, and ends with the cracks no viewer could ever see through the screen. To understand how it all collapsed, we must return to the beginning, to a time when everything still seemed perfect. Rachael Ray was born in Glens Falls, New York, into a home where the air was always rich with the aroma of food. Her mother, Elsa Scuderi, a strong-willed Sicilian woman, lived and breathed the cooking. Her father carried French, Scottish, and Welsh roots, a blend of cultures that gave Rachael an early sense of how flavor and memory intertwine as a child. While other kids played with dolls or learned to ride bikes, Rachael liked to stand next to her mom at the stove and watch her carefully season each dish. That's how she learnt that love could be tasted in every pinch of salt and every drop of oil. Rachel's world was never painted with gloss. She grew up amid the clatter of pots and pans, long nights in busy restaurants where sweat and emotion mixed in equal measure. As a teenager, she worked at Sutton's Marketplace selling raisin bread and cider donuts and rarely appearing in local commercials. Perhaps that was where she found the two things she loved most, food and people. Rachael saw the kitchen as more than just a place to cook. That stage was a place where she could be herself without any shame. She got a new job at the candy counter at Macy's when she moved from her neighborhood to New York City. But she soon quit because the routine and pressure from the company made her feel trapped. Although she made it on the spur of the moment, that choice changed her life. When she got back home, she started what she called 30-minute meals cooking classes, and very quickly those three simple words spread around the world. Rachael Ray was a role model for many people who thought anyone could cook. She stood for honesty, positivity, and the comfortable idea that all you need is a skillet and a few minutes to yourself to be happy. Still, the irony was mean. Rachael taught everyone how to cook, but she was slowly losing interest in her own life. When fame came, John Cusimano followed. It seemed like fate that they met at a party. Rachael smiled big, and John, who seemed to be both a lawyer and a singer, immediately caught her attention. All night they talked about dreams, songs, and foods that most people would never say out loud. But no one could have known that this night would be the start of a long and complicated story filled with love, anger, and years of mental tug-of-war. Rachael was light for John. Rachael saw John as a shadow. They made each other whole, but they also drained each other. As her fame grew, he took on the role of manager, man behind the scenes, and guardian. But over time, that light started to make the shadows longer. There were rumors of treason. Headlines in tabloids hinted at some strange rumors about John. There was something in Rachael's eyes that no longer looked like complete trust, even though she always stood up for her husband. Rachael never said it out loud, but she started to feel torn inside. She didn't like the rumors, but she hated the questions that started to form in her heart even more. It made her hate herself even more that she wasn't brave enough to tell the truth. She hated having to keep up a perfect public image. With a glass of wine in hand, she would sit alone late at night after the studio lights went down. She used to make people laugh. She was thinking to herself, if love really did last as long as she used to tell others it did. Rachael Ray went from being a girl from a small town in Lake George to becoming a famed singer all around the world. But what she didn't expect was for the guy she used to call her other half to become a wound in her heart that wouldn't go away. It wasn't just love in their story. It was a warning that behind every happy smile, a whole world could be falling apart in the background. But as with all stories that seem perfect, the bad guys always find a way in. There were more rumors when Rachael was at the height of her fame. At first they were just whispers in the background. After that, John stopped going to events with her because he spent too much time with his band and often finished his nights with parties that went until dawn. But soon those whispers turned into loud newspaper stories. The news came as a huge surprise in 2005, just a few months after their fancy wedding in Tuscany. The tabloids said John had lied to Rachael. Some said he was with prostitutes, while others said he was seen going to a secret New York club a lot. Even though there was no solid proof, the damage had already been done. Rachael put on a fake smile and went on TV to try to convince everyone that everything was okay. She was tired though, so her eyes told a different story. In a speech she once said, "People can say terrible things, but it hurts the most when the people you care about doubt you too." The voice of a TV star was gone. It was the soft sigh of a woman who was trying hard to hold on to a love that had turned bad. John said nothing was true. He said he would sue and wanted justice for his name. The gap between them grew though, even though he denied it. She loved him still, but that love didn't feel pure anymore. It got heavy, like a wet coat she couldn't take off. For fun and to get away from her real life, she started to work more, take on new projects and film more shows. When the Rachael Ray Show started in 2006, she became well known in every American home. She was always happy, funny and inspiring on screen. But there was another Rachael behind the camera, quiet, angry and sometimes so quiet it's scary. It was said that there were times when she barely talked to John, even though he was sitting just a few steps away. She kept him by her side, though, which was strange. Rachael didn't do it because she always did, but maybe because she still wanted to think that love could be saved. He was still her partner in crime and her friend through good times and bad. But every new rumor and blog post that was mean to them broke that link a little more. The National Enquirer released a shocking story in 2013, saying that John often went to a swinger club by himself. Her fans were shocked by the story. Rachael denied it again and forced a smile on TV for everyone to see. But as the saying goes, the eyes don't lie. And on that day her sad eyes shut down even the noisiest studio crowd. The year 2020 came, and her favorite home in the Adirondacks burned down in a terrible fire. The pictures, memories, and other things that were important to them all turned to ash. Everyone was reminded by the picture of Rachael standing in the rubble, her eyes sad and strong at the same time. No matter how strong a woman seems, she is still human and can break, be afraid, and feel completely alone. John was still there with her, but being there didn't seem to comfort her anymore. Some said he loved her still. Some people thought they were only bound by brand. Because their marriage had turned into a business, these two people couldn't split up. No matter what the truth was, they were clearly far apart. Arguments took the place of talks. Laughter was replaced by cold looks. Instead of warm dinners, there were nights of quiet. Rachael Ray said in 2023 that the show would end after 17 seasons. Many people thought she just wanted to rest, but those who knew her well knew she needed to get away. Get away from the attention, the demands, the idea of the perfect woman, and maybe even a marriage that had stopped breathing a long time ago. "I'll sleep when I'm dead," which will be later on the show. Rachael was very honest when she talked about her life. "There is never a moment of peace, but maybe that's how we stay alive." The words gave me chills, not because they were dramatic, but because they were so ugly. There was no longer any hiding or playing going on. In her marriage, love, anger and fear had all mixed together into something that she couldn't recognize. John still sent sweet birthday texts, still called her my home for life. But those words didn't make Rachael feel warm anymore. It was a smile, and she answered with sweet photos and captions. Behind them, though, was a woman who finally knew how fragile love can be in this world. They now live in two places at once. Their new home in the Adirondacks and the old house in Tuscany where they said their vows. Some say that Rachael only smiles in Tuscany. She cooks there for herself, not for other people. No one calls her name or asks about John as she walks through the sunny lanes. That could be the happiness she's been looking for the whole time. A little peace, freedom and quiet in the middle of all the noise in the world. America learned how to cook a meal in 30 minutes from Rachael Ray. She has spent her whole life learning how to cook happiness for herself. Also, that recipe might not be done yet. Because the worst truth isn't always the truth about someone you hate. That's when you realize the person who used to make you happy every morning is now just an echo of a love that didn't last. After the cheers stop, there's a strange kind of quiet. It's not peace as quiet, but the sound of everything you've lost. Rachael Ray's silence came late in life, when the cameras stopped rolling and the lights in her studio went down. For years everyone had seen how beautiful her smile was. She was America's kitchen sweetheart. Even though life was messy, she made you think you could cook, laugh, and live better. What will happen though when the woman who taught a lot of people to enjoy the little things in life can't do it herself? That's the question that keeps coming back to haunt Rachael Ray and John Cusimano, the man she used to call her biggest blessing. They looked great together, didn't you think? Chef with a lot of personality and cool musical lawyer. She was a burst of kindness and words. He was cool, calm, and mysterious. People thought they had found balance, fire, and silence, chaos and calm for a long time. But something else was cooking below the surface. Some say that Rachel's drive, the same drive that made her business possible, was too much for John. Others say that John's quiet distance and the long nights he spent with his band caused a rift that couldn't be fixed by renewing their vows. At first, their love was strong and came from laughing together and talking late at night. But as their fame spread, their hearts became less loud. And maybe that's where the anger started. Rachel's friends and family say she got antsy. In the past, showing others how to cook gave the woman meaning. Now she felt trapped in her own success. She did more than just make a name for herself. She turned into one. It wasn't just Rachael who smiled, talked, or emailed. It was the thing, the look, and the hope. And love began to break down in that high-stress environment of fame. There were fights like oil in a hot pan. Not all of them were about big things. It was sometimes because John stayed out too late or Rachael couldn't stop working. But every little spark set things on fire. Over time, those burns turned into scars that neither of them could hide. But here's the catch. Rachael Ray didn't leave. She could have done it. She had fame, money, and freedom, but she chose to stay. That may be what makes her story so real. It wasn't the fame or the problems that made them stand firm in their belief that love, no matter how flawed, could still be worth fighting for. Rachael didn't cry when their house burned down in 2020 because she lost her furniture or her fame. She cried because her life was ending. The dinners, the laughs, and the moments with John. She once told me, "Everything we built together went up in flames that night." Some took it at face value. But people who paid close attention knew she wasn't just talking about the house. John was there the whole time. People thought he was a good husband who was always by her side and protected her. But even dedication can feel heavy if it comes from duty instead of love. Some of Rachael and John's friends said that they lived like they were strangers and had forgotten about each other's feelings. Still, they showed up properly, posed hand in hand to every anniversary and public event. When everyone is looking, that's what you do. But you smile, you do your job, and you stay alive. Rachael called the end of her long-running talk show in 2023 the start of a new era, but for the people who knew her best, it felt more like the end. Not of her work, but of a time. The Rachael Ray everyone knew, the woman who was always happy and hopeful, was gone. It was silent, deeper, and more fragile what was left. She told the truth in her show, "I'll sleep when I'm dead. John and I have never been calm. We yell and fight, but we stay." It wasn't an admission meant to make you feel bad. It made me feel free. For the first time, Rachael wasn't running the show. She was just being honest. And her strength comes from being honest. The press like to say that Rachael Ray hates John Cusimano, but she doesn't. There's more to it than that. What she doesn't like about herself is how their love changed her. Someone who gave everything and built a business on love only to find that she had nothing left for herself. She hates the void that winning couldn't fill. The silence that came after every fight. How love can become a habit, and turn that into anger. In spite of all the anger, there is still a tenderness and a strength of loyalty that defies reasoning. She might not love him as much as she used to. She might never do it. But she can't get rid of the years, the fights, and the laughs they shared during the hard times. To refuse to give up, even when love doesn't feel like love anymore, is a strange kind of dedication. That could be Rachel's best recipe. Because what we call anger is sometimes just love that has been still for too long without being stirred. Still, there's grace underneath it all. Rachael Ray has learnt that not everything in life has a happy finish. The mess, the heat, and the times that test you are what it's all about. The tabloids have lied to her. Disaster has hurt her and fame has hurt her. She's still here though, cooking and smiling even though it hurts. Because she is that way. A woman who can turn chaos into comfort and pain into art. That being said, the story might not be about hate after all. If a woman finally stops acting like everything is fine and learns to live in the truth, then maybe it's about survival. The messy, painful, and flawed truth. People can see her marks when she stands in her kitchen with her sleeves rolled up. Her eyes are tired but steady. She is no longer cooking for the camera. She is making food for herself. And that quiet act is a way to make things right. Someone named John Cusimano once said that Rachel's best gift is not her food but her fire. That could be why he's still there. Maybe that's why he can't leave either, no matter what. The reason for this is that they still know each other, even though they are angry, silent, and tired. Not as husband and wife or as a brand, but as two people who lived through the same storm. Love isn't always nice after all. It can be stubborn at times. In a strange way, sticking with something can also be a form of love. So Rachael Ray is not a broken woman if you look at her today, standing between two worlds, the ruins of her old home and the vines of Tuscanini. Someone will finally tell you the truth about her cracks. Someone who knows that hate and love are not enemies but rather mirror images of each other. That anger and love can live together. That there can still be beauty in a marriage even when it's worn down. Not how to cook, but how to keep going. That may be what Rachael Ray has been teaching us all along. How to stay put in the heat without giving up. How to let things burn and still be ready to start over in the kitchen the next day. Rachael Ray's story isn't just about numbers or recipes after all. The story is about a woman who loved and lost a lot but kept showing up in her own life, in front of the camera and at the stove. She has shown this, that much is true. It can still feed your soul when the meal doesn't go as planned. To the beginning, before the fame, the fire, and the quiet, there were two young people who thought love could make everything better. Like a poem, they met at a party neither of them had planned to go to. Strangers laughing and the buzz of New York nightlife all around. Rachael, who was full of life and wit, got John totally wrong. She believed he was bisexual. She even tried to get him together with a friend of hers. Destiny is funny though, because by the end of the night they were chatting like old friends who had forgotten they knew each other. It was 4 a.m. when they said goodbye for good. They didn't know it yet, but they just changed each other's lives forever.